And it is the end of January. That means those W-2s should already start arriving if you haven't gotten them yet, and time to file those taxes. And we know it can get complicated, especially if you're a property owner. That is why I'm joined by Ryan Chismark with Merit Tax Advisors Partners. Welcome, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the topic of property tax is a complicated one. Yes. So tell us how you can help those folks out there that get those W-2s and those other forms and how they can file their taxes correctly and the best way for them.
Yeah, so a lot of people put property tax in the bucket with income tax. They're separate things, but what we do at our firm at Merit Tax Advisors is we represent institutional owners of real estate. So think high-rise, multifamily, office, industrial parks, and we make sure that their tax liability is right-sized.
All right, so when we're talking about business owners in particular, what do they need to know when it comes to those property taxes and filing?
Great question. There's a lot of sound bites out there, and I think it's important to clear the record on this. Appraisal caps have come up a lot. Appraisal caps are not an effective way to handle property tax liability. So we like to think in terms of this acronym called ART. Assessment times rate equals taxes. So if you're a business owner, focusing and understanding on the entirety of the process and not just focused on appraisal caps, that's going to help them ultimately in trying to make the smartest decision for managing their tax liabilities.
We have reported a lot on property tax relief. Our state legislature is at work trying to ease that burden.
Yes.
Is there any hope of getting that relief? Anything on the table right now?
Absolutely. This is a really optimistic time. So if we think back to last legislative session when we had a budget surplus, as we do now, our budget surplus today is around, give or take, $25 billion. Last session, we had Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, we had Senator Betancourt, as well as our new House Speaker Burrows. And what they did was they bought down the mill rate. So your assessment times your rate gives you your liability. While your assessment might have gone up, your tax mill rate actually went down. And that provided relief for tax owners. I think this legislative session, very similar opportunity. There's surplus funding at the state level that can buy down mill rates. We can expand exemption opportunities, whether that's homestead or incentivizing new developments to come. So there's a lot of relief, I think, on the way on the rate side, and that's important to focus on for owners.
Yeah, we certainly hope. Now, when we talk about our area in particular, the North Texas area, we know the growth is booming. That sometimes has an adverse effect on our property taxes and what we pay. What do property owners need to know when it comes to staying ahead? Anything they can do to, again, ease that burden, especially when you consider the growth?
Yeah, look at your tax bills year over year. I think we're way too focused on assessments and just stopping the discussion there. If you look at your tax liability year over year, because of the compression in rates, it's actually been pretty reasonable over the last few years. Now, values have gone up. And you know, David and Ross from Senator Betancourt's team have this great acronym and this kind of concept: broaden the base, lower the rate. So if you have explosive growth, you have more properties to share in the taxation. That means each individual is paying a little bit less. So let's not be so quick to say, well, I don't want that apartment in my backyard or that industrial development. That could actually help you ultimately.
Real quick, do you expect those assessments to continue this trend of going up here in the area?
It depends on the asset class. I think there's a lot of asset classes that have struggled. It certainly needs to be recognized by the appraisal district. Apartments specifically have really been hit hard. We know the story around office. So hopefully there's some relief on the way.
All right, Ryan Chismark, thank you very much. Nobody escapes the tax man, but you can at least be ready for him, right?
Yeah, thank you, Chris.